What if you're operating from a made-up story, assuming it's fact, and it's not even true? One of the most impactful practices I coach my clients to get on the court with is leaders deal in as-is reality. It helps leaders shift out of made-up stories and into alignment with reality. When a leader focuses on the reality instead of the made-up stories, they have more access to their creativity and are more empowered because the stories, which are usually negative, are not weighing them down. So a leader I was working with recently struggled a lot with feeling less than his peers and struggled with imposter syndrome. Recently, he had an experience where a peer of his created unnecessary drama when an emergency happened. It was clear that action needed to be taken. This leader made the situation a little worse than it needed to be. And this leader I was coaching was clear that he needed to speak to this person. Now, through coaching, I discovered that he had a longstanding professional relationship with this person. He had actually worked under them 20 years ago. And so what we discovered was that there was this story that was running inside of him that even 20 years later, even though he was now their peer and slightly actually more senior than them, he was running a story that he still needed to be subordinate to this person. As we started to work towards moving him into as-is reality and out of the story, that helped him come into alignment with the reality of his job, which was to support this person, to help them understand what had occurred and where their opportunities for development and growth were, and that he could do that from a place of caring and directness at the same time. This story that he was running inside of him that he was less than had prior been keeping him away from having that conversation. Once he moved into as-is reality, that he recognized what his job was and got out of the story, he was able to get into a very direct conversation with them, creates clear guidelines and a strategy and system for moving forward as peers. They walked out of that conversation with clear systems to support them and a deeper and more impactful relationship. The trust had deepened, the connection had deepened, and their relationship had improved as a result. So if you wanted to disconnect from the story and move back into as-is reality, you can ask yourself a question: is what I'm thinking about this situation really true? You could even ask yourself, is it possible that this is a story, or is this actual reality? Part of as-is reality is that it's inarguable. It is literally just the facts. And so if there's anything, as you're reviewing the facts of the story, that are potentially arguable in some way, that is just opinion, we want to start to disconnect that and focus just on the facts. So with my client, the fact was his position. You can't argue that his title was his position. You can't argue that he had to have a conversation with this person. How he was going to have the conversation is up for debate. And he was clear that needed to happen. These are some of the facts we need to look for to help disconnect our thinking from our stories and move into as-is reality. So if you want to get into this, you can do a simple exercise, take a piece of paper, draw two circles next to each other, and label the first one as-is reality and the second one my story, or what I'm making it mean. Start to put into each circle the inarguable facts under as-is reality and what's the story that I'm making up about it. That will help you disconnect the two so you can start to see the difference. If you want to turn this into a practice, at least once or twice a day, start to get curious. Ask yourself, is this true? Is what I'm thinking a story, or is it an actual fact? Is it inarguable or my opinion? Asking that question will start to help you focus on it and tease out the difference.